All right, so can we get to this, ladies and gentlemen? This is very aggravating. There was so much to feel so good about with this weekend. I mean, for one thing, it does feel to a large extent like the Phillies got back on track, okay? It does.
Yes.
I mean, they'd won a couple in a row. They reestablished, a guy like Trey Turner who hadn't been hitting hits.
They're manufacturing runs at times.
All that
Holy
stuff.
cow, Christopher Sanchez. Let's not forget that second complete game of the season.
Very
this young
important.
man
Yep.
is really doing it.
Yep, very important. And you got the Alumni Weekend thing, which was always well done by the Phillies. And the guys love coming back. I mean, they vibe with the organization. They're proud of it. So a lot of good tidings. And we'll take your calls on the positive side at 215-592-9494. And John, you're right.
Bryson Stott's going again a little bit, which is great.
And Sanchez may be the most important of all of them, either him or Trey, because these are guys you're going to need come October. And I think the whole thing is through the umbrella of October and what the lead up to that represents. However, ladies and gentlemen, it is a shame when an otherwise fantastic weekend is spoiled by something at the end. And I don't mean the loss at the end. That's going to happen from time to time. Matter of fact, it's going to happen for a great team about 60 times a season. I accept that. I got no problem with that. It was the decision by Rob Thomson yesterday to not use Bryce Harper or J.T. in the ninth inning. It was the decision that, to me, in many ways, spoiled the weekend like a bunch of rotten eggs. Let's just rewind this for a second. All right. So it's a Sunday, there's 30-something games to go in the season. Bryce, you're off. JT, you're off. I'm okay with that. I mean, these guys are veterans. They've played a lot this year. They've played a lot of games in their career. I totally accept that. But to not feel that they can grab a bat in the ninth inning, warm up a little bit, stretch a little bit, it might rope a double or a triple, might have to run. You don't want to pull your groin like DeCamera did 5 years ago. All right, stretch, get a little limber, get a bat, and get out there instead of Cal frickin' Stevenson or Garrett Stubbs. John, it's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing line of thought by Rob Thomson to think, and by the way, you got this 7-game lead over the Braves. You got a half a game lead over the Dodgers for home field advantage. You also have, and this has really gotten really close, you've got a 1-game lead on the Milwaukee Brewers for what, if you go behind the Dodgers and behind the Brewers, you're now in the wild card round of the postseason. That is suboptimal, all right? So I want to hear from everyone at 215-592-9494. If you think I'm right that we have a justified gripe, let's rock and roll. 215-592-9494. If you think I'm wrong, and you think Rob Thomson with his adherence, and this is not a one-off. I mean, we've seen this before from Rob Thomson. Here's the way I frame it. Here's what Rob Thomson strikes me as, and I love the guy as a guy. I respect him a ton as a guy. I respect him as a manager. He's done a lot of good things, right? His years in baseball. But he's got an adherence, a stubbornness to doing things a certain way that I can only sum up this way. And it reminds me of the worst of some of the former managers and coaches in Philadelphia sports history. It's what I call this. I do what I do because that's what I do. It's unacceptable. I do what I do because that's what I do. That's what Sirianni did last year when he didn't change the offense. That's what
Chip Kelly.
That's what Chip Kelly did in 2015. That was the worst of Andy Reid. And guys, I'm a pro Andy Reid guy, and obviously he was a very good coach here and has become a truly all-time great coach with the Kansas City Chiefs when you add it all up. But the worst of Andy Reid was, we're not going to run the ball. We're not going to run the ball. Why, Andy? Yeah. Because, that's what I do. That's what we do. John, it drives me nuts. And this is about October. This isn't about yesterday. By the way, you're not going to have this scenario in October in that JT and Bryce aren't going to sit and Cal Stevenson's not going to start. It's not about that. It's about the decisions come October like Kimbrel last year.
Yeah.
You can't have this, John.
Undoubtedly, Rob Thomson was wrong yesterday. But we have had soft tissue injuries. We've had hammies.
Yeah.
So that had to factor into his thinking. This feels broken. I hate it. because it feels like we didn't really value winning that game yesterday the way I think we're supposed to.
I agree.
It hurts because I really thought this team was back to that place where we were ready to do whatever it took to be great and to be world champion-esque. Right on the way back to what, like we didn't skip a beat. Yeah, we dropped down for a little bit. Yep. There was a light little month and a half there. But, man, yesterday was not whatever it took. It was the opposite. Topper left Cal Stevenson in the game. Like, that's everything rode on that at-bat. And JT and Bryce are tough as nails. We all know that. And they have today off to recover from their one at-bat.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I wish it did. But it does make me wonder if their bodies are in worse shape than I thought at this time of the year. I try to rationalize it and remind myself that, we won 3 of 4 against the Nationals. Yeah. We'd won 4 in a row. Again, we were manufacturing runs, which is exactly what I want to see. It feels like we're pulling out of the potential season slide,
and that feels
the nosedive.
Yeah, that's good.
And I try to pull back and look at it from 30,000 feet. I try to make sense of that non-decision yesterday and understand what Topper was thinking. Why would he do this? But the message that he's sending to this team when things finally appear to be turning around, it feels soft.
It does.
To me, soft is the worst word you can associate with your team, so I hate it. That's the way it just feels wrong.
John, I
agree. This team shouldn't feel so soft. This decision is a soft one, and I hate it.
Look, we've obviously seen, and it's been discussed, and we really want to hear from you at 215-592-9494. Not that decision or 2 decisions, if you want to include the Garrett Stubbs at bat, but John, I agree. Cal Stevenson at bat, the more important one, because you got 1 on and no out, and you really got an opportunity here. All right, and I know you got a right-handed pitcher up there. I get all that, and JT, well, that's on JT. I mean, Bryce obviously lefty. This is just a scenario where, to me, there's so many ways to go. And, of course, the whole weekend's on the table. Alumni Weekend was great. Getting back on track, John, as you're talking about, to a large extent, getting back on track is great. But, guys, let's remember, I mean, the Dodgers and the Brewers are on the Phillies' butts. They're right freaking there. And there's 38 games left. And I'm telling you, these are the kind of decisions, in my opinion. Now, I don't know if John Middleton signs off on it or not. I've got to imagine he asks about it. John Middleton is way too knowledgeable and passionate. And by the way, like attending all the games, there's no way this just lapses past him. So if you're Middleton and this happens, like if I'm Middleton and my team loses in October, and especially if they lose in October because they don't have home field advantage, very possible. Or if they lose in October because more of this, and again, I think Kimbrel last year is an all-time example. Obviously, Mitch Williams in 93 is an all-time example when Fregosi used Mitch in Game 6 when, I think we all knew he should not have and knew it in the moment. Again, it's what I call, and the irony, John, is you probably get on my case a lot for this, but I'll say it again, because I do this myself in some ways in life. I'll admit that.
That's big of you.
But it's not good. I do what I do because that's what I do. Don't do that. Do what you should do in the moment to give yourself the best shot at whatever you're trying to achieve in life. And I know there's something to be said for a certain adherence to things that have worked in the past. I'm not pushing that aside. But what I'm telling you is, like, we know basketball and football, primarily, more than any other sports, have brought, John, you used the word soft, and I think it's the right word, have brought a different mentality from a training standpoint, a physicality standpoint, to the implementation of, from a practice and a game standpoint, what the basketball they call load management, what in football is, where you're something's off on certain levels, you're fluid, so let's not practice today. Oh, let's not practice, right? All right. And we largely hate it. We've come to accept it to an extent because we understand there are scientists, there are doctors, there are trainers that do know more than us. And so I relent that, the way it was done in 1955 probably isn't exactly the way it should be done. However, guys, let's not overthink this here. Let's not reinvent the wheel. We're asking Bryce Harper and J.T. to grab a frickin' bat, limber up, go stand in the batter's box, try to get a hit. That's the ask. It's not that hard.
No.
It's a lot easier than asking Joel Embiid to go play in an NBA game for 40 minutes 82 times a year.
Yes.
This isn't that.
It feels small, but then when you take a step back, you think about the Trey Turner, the hamstring. We got Bryce with the hamstring. Because JT and Bryce are both, they're not spring chickens either.
They're not.
And as you get a little older, it takes you a little longer to get limber. I can tell you that from experience.
But John,
staying loose is harder. I understand that, but it's still. But the bottom line is you're supposed to value winning games. I do think it would have done something, nice springboard to have 5 in a row under your belt. That is not a good team that we lost to yesterday, so that feels a little shameful as well.
Yeah.
But the worst part is the softness.
Yes.
That is not something I associate with the Philadelphia Phillies.
With anything Philadelphia. It's like telling your kid, I want you to go study, but only do it for 45 minutes because an hour and 15, it might be too much. Like, come on. What are we doing here? What is Rob Thomson thinking? And again, you don't have a 10-game lead on all the teams. You have a big lead on one, on the Braves. You got a half-game lead on the Dodgers, a 1-game lead on the Brewers for the 1 and the 2 seed. Knock it off, man. And this could, if I'm Middleton, this could cause Rob Thomson the gig at the end of the year. I'm serious. Especially if you see more of this in October, like let's go back to Kimbrel or whatever player will be struggling come October, second week of October. Used them all 6 months. Used them last week. Let's use them again. Let's not. Joe DeCamera and John Rich, your phone calls on these topics. And again, I don't want to push aside the majesty of Alumni Weekend, which I think we all enjoyed. I mean, how can you not? And obviously getting a lot of wins prior to yesterday, including the reascension, if you will, of Christopher Sanchez, which is really important come October. Trey Turner, really important come October. Your thoughts on all of it. Can you make any sense of what Rob Thomson did? And how much does it tick you off? Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie, 215-592-9494.